Hello, and welcome to Late Night Useless Thoughts with Show. I might change the name a little bit because it's really hard to say the name. Late Night Useless Thoughts. The gap between useless and thoughts kind of intertwine with each other, but I'll think about it. Anyway, I hope you guys had a wonderful day today. Over here, the weather was pretty good. It was, I think, the usual studying for certifications, looking for jobs, and just content creation in general. I've tried creating a short that introduces my channel, but it's not really doing too good. So we'll see how that goes. And for people that stay and listen to this, thank you very much. So I actually don't really have much to talk about today. I really didn't do too much other than being productive. But I just wanted to talk about, this weird comfort of being awake when everyone else is asleep. I'm not sure if all of you can relate to this, but when everyone is asleep and you just have all this silence to yourself, you look outside, it's just dark. Sometimes you hear screaming because some people are drunk, but then it's part of the fun, right? And you're kind of second guessing what might have happened, imagining all sorts of stuff. This is also the time when I feel the most engaged in activities and most productive. I'm a very nighttime, nocturnal person, and it gives me a sense of freedom. I'm not sure if you guys can relate to this either, but when it's cold and when it's dark and it's empty, I feel this some sort of freedom. It just feels free. It feels like I'm roaming about in this empty place. The cold makes you feel like you're isolated, and the quietness really helps with sorting your thoughts. It's also around the time when you feel detached from the world, or at least I feel detached from the world. And I just think about a lot of stuff about life, about my past, about my future, mostly about my future because I am quite worried about my future. And being a background character in life, I feel like a lot of people tend to feel that they are the main character. And they're probably right. A lot of people tend to be the main character of their life, which is amazing, and I respect that. But for me, I feel like a background character. I feel like I haven't had that much significance in life. Uh, I haven't really achieved many things. I have some good. I've been to good schools, but that's about it. I haven't achieved anything as a result. And I'm just sitting here wondering what drives people. I used to have this drive to achieve a lot of things. I wanted to be a doctor. I used to shadow under one back in college. I'm sorry for going on this tangent, but I used to want to be a doctor, and it's always been my lifelong dream. I've ever since I was 7. I told my mom I'm gonna go to Johns Hopkins. I'm gonna be a doctor. I'm gonna save so many kids. I'm gonna work for Doctors Without Border. I forgot what it was called. Is it the Red Cross? But I wanted to do a lot of good for the society. And it was time for college. I shadowed under a doctor, and I realized that it isn't for me. So my whole world crumbled. I was wondering what I was doing with life. I don't know what to do. And then I think that's when my drive really disappeared. I eventually picked up programming, but then now I feel very behind from people who's done projects. And I feel stuck because I haven't been able to get a internship. There's not a lot of remote internship programs available. And at least in my country, it's more common to get employed directly than to have an internship. So I actually never finished college, so I also don't have a degree, and that doesn't really help, which is why I'm studying for this certification. But my employment is looking a little bit slim, and because of that, I just feel like a passive character, if that makes sense. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing being a passive background character, because ordinary is usually the source of happiness, I think. I think there's nothing wrong with being ordinary. Being extraordinary, of course, is amazing. It's very great. But there's also some beauty in being ordinary. And I think I'm fine with that, you know. I think I've come to terms with how normal I'm gonna be and how rest of my life is probably gonna be somewhat peaceful. And I kinda live to that. So yeah. I wonder how many of you feel like a background character. Or maybe some of you feel like a main character. And of course, maybe we are all main characters, but at least I don't feel like I'm a main character for some reason. And that's the kind of stuff that goes through my head when everyone is asleep. And that really ties into this concept of doing enough. Because right now, I feel like I'm not quote unquote doing enough. And how am I supposed to know when enough is enough when nobody tells me that it is enough? And it's like this resting guilt for me. I feel guilty for not being what I used to dream about. And I feel guilty for not being my best self at the moment. It feels like I'm not reaching my full potential. I don't mean to say that I have a lot of potential. I think everyone has great potential, but at least for me, I feel like I am doing little to none at this moment. I'm really not optimizing the things I'm doing. I'm not looking for jobs frantically. I'm definitely relying on my mom a lot for, at least financially, for now because I have no job. I did have a job, but I quit because it was a very abusive and toxic environment. I worked as a English instructor, and I unfortunately caught enteritis. And for those of you who don't know what enteritis is, it's a condition where you have stomach problems. It's where your small intestine is inflamed. You have stomach aches, you get some fever, um, a little dirty, but a lot of diarrhea. It's not it's not pleasant at all. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant, period. Um, so I called them up and I said, hey, I went to the doctors and I'm sorry, but I caught enteritis and I'll try to make it on time, but I'm not sure if I'll be in the best condition to teach. And their first response was telling me that it's my obligation to tell them that I'm going to be absent at least a week before and that I still need to show up. And it's on the contract. But it's not on the contract, and you can't really tell if you're going to be sick in 1 week. That just makes no sense. So I told her that that is not her, I mean my boss. I told my boss that um that's not really not my responsibility. I've said that I'm sick and I'm just calling you to let you know. And then she threatens me that I am disrupting business operations as a result of my absence. So I told her that, I mean, that's not really my responsibility because I'm sick. I didn't say I'm not going in. I said I am. It's just that I'm going to be rushing to the bathroom when I teach. And she threatens me that I'm going to be charged for any damages caused because they're going to need to hire a substitute teacher. And I only worked here for a week and a half. It kind of gave me a red flag and I decided to dip. She threatened me for damages. She threatened me about many things. She called me and lectured me about being irresponsible. And it was not a good experience to say. At the end, tables kind of turned and she was begging me to stay, but I told her I'm gonna quit. And here I am, jobless again. So that's tough. But I do have side gigs of tutoring. I tutor English and math, but the students are really behind, so I have to increase the amount of classes they get to 3 times a week. It used to be two, but I think 3 is necessary. Anyway, my point is, I think that whatever I'm doing right now is not enough at the moment. And I'm pretty sure there are better ways to do things while I'm unemployed, like studying harder for my certifications, but it's proving to be difficult. Really, motivation is kind of difficult when your future seems a little dark and you can't really see anything. And it sounds like an excuse because nobody knows what the future holds and everyone has the risk. But I don't know. Taking risks is very scary for me. And maybe I have to work on that. And, and you know, I feel like I'm being honest right now with myself. And I think I can do that because it's late at night. It's currently about 2 a.m. over here. And I just feel like there's less expectations wanted out of me. Nobody expects me to do something because everyone is asleep and I can slow things down. I don't have to have this active performance like I would during the daytime. And a lot of thoughts feel softer and slower. I think about, you know, I don't really think about life during the daytime. I think about what I should be doing. But then late night is when you feel vulnerable, when you feel really open about your thoughts. Or at least for me, I listen to songs. Lately, I don't listen to songs as much, but it helps. I think it makes me know about myself a little bit better. I mean, as I'm talking into the microphone right now, I feel like I'm able to learn more about myself. I'm finding out about stuff that I never thought would mouth. And yeah, initially started this series. Well, it's only day two of starting my series, but I meant to be as like a comfort for background noise. I included rain sounds, but I'm thinking of including music in this episode. And it's supposed to be so that people don't have to watch TV and they can just keep their eyes closed. And I hope people can relate to me. And last but not least, I usually think about a lot of imaginary versions of me, someone who's achieved way more than I have now. What if there was like alternate timelines? What if I chose stuff differently? You know, what if I just stuck with being a doctor? Where would I be right now? If I just stuck with college, then what kind of job would I have right now? Those are kind of stuff I think about all the time. There's a lot of ifs, but I think it's very nice that I get to think about those. It imaginary self. I imagine myself being good at something when I'm really not. I imagine myself doing stuff that I would never do, like scuba diving. Oh, not scuba diving. Skydiving. I would never skydive. Or bungee jumping. I would never do those things. But it's nice thinking about those kind of stuff. I feel that I feel that I'm living a different life when I imagine those things. It might sound a little pathetic, but imagine myself as like a better version, quote unquote better, because it's not necessarily better. But I think about that when I think about myself being employed. I think that would be a very, very nice way to, I don't know, nice way to just live a different life. So, anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoy listening to it. I'm not used to talking for such a long time. It's actually the longest time I've yapped so far without someone talking back to me. And I think I will be better at talking longer as this series progresses so that you guys can actually fall asleep to me talking. Right now it's about 17-minute mark, but hopefully I can hit 30 minutes without really deviating from deviating too much from my thoughts. Anyway, thank you for listening to me and good night.